Hello, dear diary. This is part 2 of Christopher is arrested for going up the public stairs of a public building during public hours. Maybe the first person in American history arrested that way, who knows? And of course, charged with burglary. No other civilian did they block from going up the outside staircase or the inside staircase. Only me got that special treatment. I hope someday somebody can find that. The government might still have a copy of the DVD. And it wasn't a DVD. This was in the days of VHS. And I think I still have the VHS tape somewhere. It's probably in storage rotting. Hallelujah. Great. It's really a good video. It's really artsy and kind of funny. Because you see me get a beat down. Now we're going to talk about the trial. So they arrested me, and the arrest was fake. The DA knows the arrest is fake. The DA even admits in the hallway the case is garbage. And in the courthouse, I see the two cops, Silvio. His name's something like that. I think it's Silvio. Maybe it isn't. And the other guy, and he's like, yeah, this case. He was very friendly to me in the hallway. We were joking around about everything. Oh, he even wanted me to do a cartoon of him. I ended up doing some cartoons for him, because Giuliani's intelligence division detectives loved my cartoons. I would send really vicious cartoons to Giuliani, care of City Hall, knowing his detectives would all look at them and get a real kick out of them. So, example, when Giuliani announced that he had prostate cancer in the year 2000, I made a wonderful little cartoon that showed, it said, "Dear Mr. Giuliani, don't worry, when you die of prostate cancer, I'll take care of your loved ones." And then I drew me having sex with his wife. I drew me having sex with his mistress. And I drew me having sex with his kids. And you can see why I now say Richard Pryor and George Carlin can suck my dick. Those guys didn't do anything really daring. I was taking on one of the most dangerous mass murderers in American history and mocking the fuck out of him. And I did it all the time on radio. You can watch the video of me in front of the 9/11 Commission, humiliating in front of 900 million people around the world, live on TV. It's pretty funny. I did lots of really great cartoons. You should look at, there's a lot of my Rudy Giuliani cartoons in my book, Perverted Little Creep. A lot of really good Giuliani cartoons. And transcripts of him and I arguing on live radio, some of my Rikers diaries, some of my trial diaries. This one was after most of what's in the book. That book was mostly 90s stuff. Came out in 2003, was supposed to come out in 2001, but by then Giuliani was the messiah. After 9/11, he milked that cow. That cash cow got milked. Okay, so where were we? So his intelligence division detectives loved my cartoons. And I ended up doing a couple funny cartoons of this detective after he testified, because his testimony was so stupid. So I had a legal aid lawyer who wouldn't listen to me or do anything I said. That's even though they have to by law. It doesn't make a difference whether I have a bad plan or a good plan. They have to listen to the client. Remember that. Lawyers by law have to do whatever the client says, right or wrong, smart or dumb. Just like a doctor has to. If doctor says, listen, you need this operation, you have a right to say, fuck no, I don't want it. Even if I die, I don't want that operation. Even if it's fatal, the doctor has to listen to you. You are the client. You should have all the say and all the rights, and you do in a court of law. It's just that nobody ever wants anyone to remember that. No judge would ever point this out. All the case law makes it clear. Your lawyer must do whatever you say. And everyone just keeps that secret from all defendants in America. What was my point? So my legal aid attorney was very bad. John Gross. Nice kid, not a lot of skill. And, again, he didn't listen to me. But he was a nice guy, at least. Some of my lawyers are complete fucking assholes. Psychopaths. And every DA I see is a fucking psychopath and asshole. This DA, I forget his name. He didn't go out of his way to be super sleazy. His case was stupid, though, and he didn't even expect to win it. He was going through the motions. And even more incredibly, all right, the judge was named Annalisa Torres. She was appointed by Rudy Giuliani. How wacky that the alleged victim would get to appoint the judge. Now, this is creepy. What they did is, and they took my advice because I told them for years, obviously you can't give me a jury because I'm loved by juries, right? I'm fighting on behalf of jurors, and because they're taxpayers who get raped by the government. They're going to think I'm a hero every time. So what I always said to them, you drop it to a B misdemeanor from an A misdemeanor, kitty, and then you get rid of my right to a jury. It's pretty simple. And so that's exactly what they did. I don't think they just took my advice. I think they figured it out on their own. The day we were supposed to pick the jury, they reduced the charges to be misdemeanors, trespass. And was there one other one? There was a couple of charges left. Trespassing. Really, on public property, my own building during public hours, in the public area? I wasn't even going in anyone's private offices. Retarded, just retarded. And whatever. I was looking forward to this case. It was going to be a fucking bloodbath. These stupid cops going to have to get up there and lie and just contradict themselves and the policies of City Hall and everything. It's great. The judge, Annalisa Torres, was surprisingly great. Throughout the trial, lasted a few days, she was really good. She was a lot better than my lawyer. For instance, when the two cops were testifying, because the only witnesses were 2 or 3 of the cops, they didn't have the guy I really liked testify, which infuriated me. And I asked my lawyer to invite Frank Lombardi, who was a reporter who saw me go in and saw me say, hey, guys, my constitutional rights are being, can you come out and watch? He would have made a good, because the testimony would have contradicted Silvio, or whatever his name was. And the other cop was a female who just said she watched it. She was like complete fraud. They brought in like a detective to just make shit up. She was not involved in any way. But that's how they play. I mean, everything they do is dirty. You'll learn that someday about the government. You'll learn that about police. Corruption is the rule, not the exception. And when Silvio got up to testify, I mean, what he was saying was stupid. He was just saying stupid shit. My lawyer, though, didn't give a fuck because, remember, public defenders lose 95% of the time automatically just on plea deals. So they have no incentive to win. They have no reason to win. They don't care about winning. Once in a while, you'll get a good one who does. So, oh shit, it's 2:40 a.m. I shouldn't be so loud. The judge, at a couple points, interrupts my lawyer's questioning to ask her own questions of the cops to get to the truth. Because so you understand that? My lawyer's doing a bad job and overlooking fucking key points. And I'm saying, ask about this. My lawyer won't listen to me. So the judge grills the cop and gets him to change his testimony and contradict himself again and again and again. Let me give you an example. One of the things he said was, because they were addressing that there were rules. There was a protocol on who would be allowed into the building and who wouldn't. So they were saying, no, we didn't violate the law. And for me to be guilty of trespassing, they had to show that they made a lawful order for me to leave the building. Now, that's a problem because, remember, they let me into the building. They let me into the building, so they were already on thin ice. And their argument has to be, once he was in the building, he did something terrible, and we asked him to leave, and he didn't. And that us asking him to leave public property was a lawful order, because this is public property. They can't just ask me to leave. Sorry, I have to be breaking some rule. I have to be doing something wrong, assholes. You can't do it because your boss is afraid of being humiliated by me at a public awards ceremony. You fucking liars. So they said, there's, according to the protocol and the rules, I'm just following the rules. Rules say there's only 3 reasons we can allow somebody in. You got a business with the city council. You got an appointment with the mayor. He came up with 3 reasons. And the judge at one point said, what about this? And I forget what she said, but she gave a 4th reason. And he said, oh yeah, that would be a reason too. And she said, but you just told us there was only 3. Now you tell us there's 4. And he's like, he looked like an idiot. And the judge made him look like an idiot repeatedly. And my lawyer didn't. My lawyer was fucking useless. And then I testified. They couldn't get me to contradict myself at all. I mean, the trial was a joke. It should never have gone to trial. If you get a chance someday, dig up those transcripts from the stenographer. Even though stenography is cave drawings and very, very inaccurate. But animate that shit like South Park. Just animate that trial. And people go, I can't believe they wasted my tax dollars on this fucking nonsense garbage. But sadly, I had predicted, it's like, okay, we got a problem to begin with. One, they took away my right to a jury, which is illegal. And my lawyer wouldn't fight it. He said it is illegal, but I'm not going to spend my time fighting. I'm like, what? What the fuck? Now my fate is in the hands of a judge who, if they side in my favor, they lose their job and millions of dollars in pension money. Are you crazy? You're not going to fight this? It's not legitimate. And my lawyer wouldn't. And I didn't have the time or money or the energy or the knowledge to fucking fight the fact that they had gotten rid of my right to a jury the day they pick a jury. Yeah, right. All scam, totally illegal. You can't do that. All the shit was illegal. But my lawyer's lazy. Most lawyers are. And I even said, because what sometimes they'll do is people will split the verdict. I said, oh, this is great. Now, this is great. You know, the judge would be tempted to split the fucking verdict, meaning find me partially guilty. I think because there was a couple charges. And juries will do that sometimes. Like, we want to make everybody happy, so we'll find you half guilty. And when the judge announced that I was guilty, everybody, even Silvio out in the hallway, the main detective who busted me, was like, what the fuck was that judge smoking? The DA was shocked. When they said I was guilty, everybody in the room was like, what? The court officer was like, what? Guilty? The guy was going up a public staircase during public business hours. He didn't violate any law. He didn't trespass. It's ridiculous. Even the DA was stunned. And then after I was found guilty, he asked for 10 days community service, I think, if memory serves me right. 10 days? Maybe more. And the judge declined to even give me community service. Amazing. I'm guilty. I'm guilty of trespassing. What if I was a terrorist? Who knows? I remember, actually, I did come through a metal detector before that, so they couldn't make any argument about that garbage. Maybe you had a weapon on. Nope. I went through your metal detectors, you fucking liars. Outside the plaza, there are metal detectors in these little booths you have to go through to get to the plaza now. Oh, the irony is that only after Giuliani put in all these fake security measures did the first city council member in New York City history get shot in a city council meeting, an open public city council meeting. Like 2 years later, a council member was shot to death right there. And his friend came in with the gun. It's like, oh man, part of what I was protesting was all the security measures by Giuliani were bogus. They were bogus, like all security measures are bogus. It's all Nazi tricks. And where was I? I'm lucky I'm not as high as I was an hour ago, 2 hours ago. I got pretty baked. Somebody got me wasted. And I was loving it. Oh, maybe that's why I'm not doing such a good job of doing this diary, though. Sorry. Judge found me guilty and refused to give me any punishment of any time. Really, we had a 4-day trial? Wasted a lot of tax dollars. You said I'm guilty. And you don't want to even make me do community service? That doesn't pass the smell test. That totally makes it look like she's doing a split the verdict. She's finding me guilty, so her bosses will be pleased, her master. But she knows I'm not remotely guilty and I did nothing wrong and I'm an upstanding citizen, and so she doesn't want to punish me in any way because she knows I did nothing wrong. And so that was that, and that was pretty outrageous. I ended up doing one funny cartoon of Silvio. I kind of think his name isn't Silvio. I think his last name is Silvio. Renato? Silvia? Renato? He's got some really unusual Italian name. But he looks like just any other guy at the sports bar with glasses. But he testified like that, that he had such a hard... Oh, that was the funny thing, too. The surveillance video completely contradicted their testimony. Oops. And also, he testified like that he tried so hard to catch me that I was really elusive. Again, in the video, shows nothing of the kind. And he made it sound like I was like a hidden tiger, crouching dragon, whatever the fuck it is. Like I could just jump up walls and stuff. That movie just come out or whatever. So I did a cartoon of him trying to catch me and me doing all these like acrobatics and climbing the walls and stuff to avoid him. It's a pretty adorable cartoon. Look it up someday. I've produced more art in 1 year than any human did in 100. And that's not good because no one could ever compile 1% of the art I've made in my life. It's really sad. I have copies of a lot of my stuff, but a lot of it I don't. And of course, people like the Trachtenbergs and Jessica Delfino and David Danzig and Tom Richford and Tammy Hart and Michael Portnoy and Harry Stuckey and the DA and the reporters, and all of them did lots and lots and lots of things to make sure all my art would get thrown into a dumpster. And a lot of it's been destroyed. And if I could murder them all, I would in a second. I would not even hesitate. What they did to me and my art, it's like having your children murdered, except that analogy does not work. And watch, let's put on your detective cap. If I say killing my art is worse than killing a human being, most people are going to go, what? That's ridiculous. Because they would not think. You see, they would instantly react. It's called knee-jerking. It's where you don't think and you don't use your brain. You just react like a jackass. Like a stupid, brainless jackass. My art, any one of my pieces of art, is more valuable than a human life because the human life lasts 100 years, usually tops. A great work of art continues to do more to make the world a better place and please people, make people happy, blah, 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 illuminate, elucidate, edumacate, indefinitely, right? How many people listen to Beethoven today? Yeah, shit held up. How many people look at Da Vinci's shit today? Oh, shit held up. You'll find a lot of art lasts more than 100 years. In fact, almost all art lasts over 100 years. In fact, almost all art is more valuable than a human life. Because a human life is temporary and not worth a lot, right? We don't have exactly a short supply of humans. I'm sorry, a human life isn't worth much. My art is like my children. And it's also bad because if you rip up my cartoon, it doesn't heal itself. But if you slice my child, his flesh will actually heal itself usually. So, I mean, I can go on and on and on. But if you really think shit through, you realize I'm always telling you accurate shit, okay? And even when you doubt me, if you pay closer attention, you'll say, oh, I mean, no. So most of my art was destroyed. Yada, yada, yada. There's still tens of thousands of pieces scattered, but they'll all end up in the dumpster someday too. I have ESP, and I know how humans operate. So I think that's enough for my tale. Oh, now I was convicted, and I filed an appeal. They automatically filed an appeal, legal aid. Now the problem is, then I had to talk to the appeals lawyer. That's the lawyer fighting this conviction on a misdemeanor for trespass, and maybe one other charge. And I talked to the lawyer on the phone. The person was a fucking fucktard. They were a moron. They didn't know shit about shit. And I could tell they were flubbing everything. But again, the lawyer will not listen. They have absolute immunity from prosecution. You can't sue them when they violate the Constitution, allegedly. I'm going to try, but... And that lawyer never kept me abreast of anything. I didn't even find out when it was fucking heard in court or anything. I only found out years later that that my appeal failed. That was the last I heard. It's like, and they told me this years later. It's like, what the fuck? Now, you might say, why didn't you follow up? Oh, I don't know, because I'm juggling dozens and dozens of legal cases, and that's 1% of my daily work. It gets dizzying. You would not believe how complicated and dizzying it gets juggling 24 chainsaws at the same time. It's not physically possible. And my life is not physically possible. And also, it doesn't matter. If you try contacting the fucking legal aid, you won't get a reply. You can call them. They won't call you back. You can fucking send a letter. They're not going to write you back. They don't give a fuck. You can't get answers from these fucking assholes. They work on their own shady little fucking world and do whatever the fuck they want because there's no repercussions. If they fucking fuck over the poor and the weak, there can be no repercussions. There can be no punishment. And remember, they're all salaried. So the less work they do, the more money they make because they're salaried. They get a flat rate. None of this is legal even because it creates the very problems that exist in violation of my right to a fucking Not only to a fucking lawyer, but a competent lawyer. Federal courts say you not only have a right to a free lawyer, you have a right to a lawyer who does whatever you say, who keeps in constant communication with you, etc., etc., etc. If your lawyer doesn't give you copies of the paperwork, they're not a lawyer. They're like a lawyer in name only. It's like having a lawyer who's dead sitting at the table, propped up, saying, look, we gave you a lawyer. It's like, no, it doesn't count, fucktards. And the federal courts have really thoroughly settled this issue. And that's part of what I'm suing my RICO suits and stuff. And now that appeal is like 9 years later. Now I don't know that I can ever get that opened up again and handled for real. I might have that conviction on my record for the rest of my life because legal aid fucked me over. Now, that is a wing of the government, even though they're a pseudo-private organization. They fucking violated my constitutional rights up and down the town, yo. And so now I'm going to try and file a lawsuit with the RICO thing, but I don't know, our legal system has never been dirtier than it is today. So, yeesh. Our legal system today is 300% dirtier than it was 10 years ago. And it gets dirtier every day. Just ask the Supreme Court. So that's the end of my horrible tale. We don't know what's going to happen. I don't have all the time and energy to work. I even filed motions, I think, to reopen that one. And did I ever get a reply? No, because the courts don't do their job. And you could say, well, yeah, a lot of government agencies and a lot of government employees don't do their job. Cops don't. I've seen lazy firemen most of my life, fucking lazy assholes. But again, in all private businesses, I've seen nothing but lazy assholes. I've only worked for the government a couple times in my life. I've worked for mostly private organizations, and I've seen nothing but laziness in all of them. When I was doing auto body, when I was working in an oyster bar, when I was a food delivery guy, when I was doing carpentry, any job I've ever had, except when I worked with Mexicans, I've seen nothing but laziness. So don't give me this shit about the private sector versus the public sector. We know it's human nature to be lazy. It doesn't make a difference which field you work in. It's human nature to be lazy. Most likely, people are going to be lazy. And the problem is when they're lazy in a court of law, that's illegal. And so that's just another example. You could make a whole movie if you dug up all the real details and stuff on this case. This is one of my more minor arrests. Less glamorous, but outrageous. I was convicted of going up public stairs of a public building during public hours in a trial that wasn't even 1% legal. Everything about it was lawless. And they got away with it, you're telling me? Because my own teammates fucked me over? Wow. Eat that, Anne Frank. You weren't fucking betrayed by your own teammates, you fucking lightweight. I wish somebody would fucking kill me.